Good afternoon, Bloomington. It's not Friday, it's Wednesday at 9 a.m. This is not my usual time. You're listening to WAUX LP Bloomington. This is Growing Pains, the show where we do a lot of cool things, including interviewing artists. I'm joined in the studio today with someone a little less local, someone who's coming from out of town. His. Say hello.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. Good to have you on. You're here for the day, essentially, and then you just told me we'll be maybe booking it back to Toronto after your show at the Orbit Room. So I'm glad to catch you while you're still in town.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. This is my first radio interview. This is fun.
Woohoo! Yeah, hopefully it will be a good one. Tell us a little bit about just who you are for the listeners.
So my name's Aidan. I'm his, I guess. And this, it's kind of like an indie folk, ambient folk project. I started in 2020. During the pandemic, I moved back to my parents' place. It's like a little hobby farm about an hour outside of Toronto. And I'd been playing in like a shoegaze band and stuff, and that kind of fizzled out, and then I was like, I want to start recording something, and I didn't really have much recording experience, so I just bought a microphone and then played acoustic guitar and started singing, and I'm like, you know what, I'll keep doing this for a bit, and then slowly kind of built a little bit of a catalog, and I liked how things were sounding, and that's kind of how it started, I guess.
And now you're here in the States.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about, I would love to hear more about the recording process and just kind of your origins. But tell us a little bit about this tour and why you're in the States and what it's looked like for the past month.
Yeah. It started, basically, there's a festival called the New Colossus in New York, which is like, it's a festival. You can only play it once. It's for like emerging bands from around the world.
Wow.
And my manager, he was like, you should apply to this, this is just be a good way to just kind of get your foot in like the US. So I did that, got in, and then at the same time we applied for South by, and then got into South by. So then we just kind of planned a little bit of a tour around those like festival dates as anchors, and then I think it's almost been a month now.
Ooh.
Yeah, definitely tiring, rewarding though also. You got to meet a lot of cool people, a lot of cool bands. Everyone's been very kind, but definitely some low points, like sleeping in a parking lot in Tuscaloosa.
What was the story behind that?
We were coming back from South by, and we had to be in Asheville in like a day and a bit. So we were just, we're just gonna drive overnight and then maybe stop at a Walmart parking lot for 4 hours, get some sleep, and then we stopped for 4 hours. We didn't get any sleep, and then kept going. I don't think I'll ever be back there.
That's kind of tainted your memories of it, maybe?
Maybe a bit.
Is this your first time in the U.S., or?
Yep.
Okay.
First time in the U.S. Prior to this, we'd played one show in Toronto and like a handful in Montreal.
Wow.
And that was it. So, yeah, the live project is actually pretty new. Our first show was in like September of 2022.
Yeah.
I know, things have been moving quickly, which is good. And yeah, we got our visas and stuff, and we're just like, let's go to the U.S. and play a string of shows. And I think we'll probably be back in the fall, maybe, or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, give it a little breather.
Definitely.
Cool. Spend some time. That's I feel like a very unusual, I mean, you're in a different country for your second chosen on. Like, how do you feel returning back home to Toronto? Like,
I can't wait. just to like sleep. I think I'm gonna sleep for a week when we get back to Toronto. But no, it'll be good. I miss my family and my friends, and then we have a couple shows in Toronto with some pretty cool bands when we get back in like April and May. So definitely excited to go back and tell stories and play shows again, and gear up for summer festival season.
Exciting. Awesome. I think it would be great just to get people acquainted with your music, to start off by playing one of your songs from Garden Songs EP, Sweet Company. Any initial thoughts, things to say about this track before we get into it?
I in short, it's about my grandmother, who lived with us and essentially raised my brother and I. And she passed a few years ago, and then that's kind of what inspired this song. I didn't expect it to take off the way it did, but I'm definitely happy it did.
Awesome. Well, we're going to listen to Sweet Company, His. Enjoy.
If all the words I've been meaning to say slip from my mind, I just hope that someday you'll know to enter the room that I last spoke to you now. Lonely I felt then, it just can't be right now. It's true. So true. Let the sun lay down on me. Leave me around in sweet company. Sweet company. Shamelessly charged against what stands in front of me. Of me. Wanting it better and to last forever. Sit in this room with the memory of you. Sun lay down on me. Lead me around in sweet company. Sweet company.
And we're back. That was Sweet Company, His. Yeah, beautiful song. I think as we continue to listen to a lot of your tracks that we have prepared, there's kind of like the familial theme, I feel like, intertwining. Speak a little bit on that, if that's the case.
Definitely. Family is such like a huge part of my life. I feel like, that whole EP was kind of centered on the idea of like returning home, and after living in Toronto for a few years and maybe feeling disconnected for a few things, and coming back to my family's place, which I'm super grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
It was like we lived with my parents and my brother as well, and then my grandparents lived with us. And at the same time, I always had aunts and uncles coming in. And we kind of lived in like a bit of a rural town, and so like my friends, we didn't have internet either, so like they'd be playing video games and playing hockey. I never played hockey. So on like when I had spare time, I was always spent with family and cousins and stuff. So that just was a huge part of my upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
And still is. I try to go home every weekend and see my parents.
Yeah. How does it feel to like write songs about the people that you're sharing your time with, and like how did they feel about this musical project as well?
It's nice. It's I run everything by my mom, and like so she's, and I really trust her opinion. her and my dad have been super supportive. And it's nice, and at the same time, if she doesn't like a song, she'll say she doesn't like it as much as other ones, which is, I appreciate that. It's better than just like, this is great, this is great, this is great. And then for the live set, my dad always likes to come down and listen to us play, and he'll always give tips on how things sound, what we should do. He loves guitar solos, so he's like, there should be more guitar solos and stuff, but maybe in the future.
Yeah, shout out Dad and Mom. So you were talking about playing a little bit about playing in previous bands before doing this solo project. What's like your origin with music in general? When did you start playing the guitar?
I started playing guitar I was maybe 11, 12, 7th grade-ish, if that's right. I started playing guitar. There was a guy that moved to town. I'm from a town that's like maybe 2,000 people, so everyone knows everybody. He moved to town, and then my dad owns a restaurant, and he came into my dad's restaurant. He was like, they were chatting, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to be opening up a music school. Oh. Do you know any like kids that like would want to learn to play guitar? Like he had been educated, he had got his undergrad. For that, and my dad's like, yeah, like my 2 kids will be your first students. So then we started like, I guess a week after that, and his name's Steven, and he was unbelievable. I took lessons with him until I went to college, to university. And yeah, he's such a kind person, and before he left Schaumburg, he moved north. He went from like 0 to, I think it was like 75 students. Which was a lot. And Schaumburg became a really musical town. There was like events happening all the time. It was nice. That's how I started.
And you were on that first wave of people.
Definitely, yeah.
Very cool. That's awesome. In terms of starting to write music, when did that begin for you? Was his your first go into that, or had you been doing that previously?
Honestly, I started writing songs like as I started learning songs pretty much. So like started in grade 8 maybe. Kind of like more rock inspired stuff. It started at the same time I started learning like Crazy Train or Iron Man or whatever on guitar, which is funny. So went from that, and then we went to like Arctic Monkeys styled stuff, and then to shoegaze stuff, and then to folk stuff.
And is there any artists or people that you're listening to that you can kind of attribute to you wanting to write more folk-sounding music?
Angel Olsen, Adrian Lanker.
Shout out.
Yeah, genius. And like production-wise, Loving. They're from Victoria, BC, Canada. They like record everything to tape. It's like an 8-track, like Tascam 1/4 inch. And that's something that I've just got into. Yeah. I just love that it's warm, saturated sounds. They've been hugely inspirational as well.
I think I want to save this one for the end, but is Field Theme recorded in that way? Because it sounds like very spread out, and is that how? So you were in your barn?
Yeah, that was just like that, and just to a cassette deck.
Okay, wow.
Which is why it sounds so scratchy, and I really like that sound. When I put it on the record, it was like my mom's like, I can't hear it. It's like, why does it sound so like dirty and gunked up? I'm like, I don't know.
That's it puts you in a space a little bit. You can like feel the environment it was recorded in.
Definitely, that was definitely the intention.
Which is really cool. Yeah, awesome. In terms of writing your first song, Matador, right? Just like talk me through a little bit. So you're writing songs, you decide to record. At what point were you like, okay, like this is something I want to put out and I want to share with the world?
Good question. It was like, I guess March, April 2020, and I'd like started writing songs, and they're more like indie-ish, like major 7 inspired stuff, and then I would just been, and it was being done on electric guitar, and then I just started fiddling around in the acoustic, and in this like, it was like open D tuning kind of, but with the high E string still on E instead of D. I just been fiddling around with that, and I just thought it was like it was like cathartic almost to write it, and I felt very connected to that song and to like the guitar melody and the vocals, and I'm like, you know what? What if I just put something out like this? It probably is going to be like right out of left field because no one had thought I'd ever write a folk-ish song, folk-inspired song, so that's kind of what happened, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question or not. But.
Yeah. No, it definitely does. It's interesting because, like, I would be surprised to hear you do shoegaze stuff or like hear you do more alternative rock just as like a relatively newer listener, because it feels like his like really like leans heavily into the folk sphere, and it's very much its own sound. So cool to hear. Yeah, all the different perspectives that people might have of your musical endeavors. But yeah, I think I would love to play. This is not a smooth transition at all, but continuing on the home familial theme, I'm going to play Home Home, cool. Also off of the Garden Songs EP. Any thoughts about this one before we jump into it?
Definitely a lot more lighthearted one. I write a lot of sad songs. This is not one of them, which is nice, I guess.
Cool. All right, everyone, Home Home. His. Enjoy.
Did you park that car in my head? Engine still on, runs till it's dead. The future is ours and the others are rattling the house. Good times above us, her mother wishes her the best. On wood, sun, whistle round the bend. Laundry still sets, blows, sails in the wind. The future is ours and the others rattle in the house. Good times above us, her mother wishes her the best.
And we're back. That was Home Home, his. Lovely alliteration. Very fun. just in terms of the EP, so you've released a handful of singles, put out the EP, and have continued releasing more singles. I think curating a project, whether it's an album or EP, is sometimes a difficult task. How, like, when you were going about writing it, what was that process like? Did you know you wanted X amount of songs, you wanted it to sound a certain way? How did you decide what ended up on the final project?
Basically, that EP kind of, I had written it over. I'd just been writing songs with no intention of releasing an EP or an LP, and I ended up with this collection of maybe 10 songs that all had like that similar familial theme or being home, and I'm like, oh, these kind of like package well together. Maybe I should maybe trim the fat a bit and nail it down to 5 songs and like 2 of these little themes, which I did, and then I ended up with a little EP. And I don't like putting out singles per se. I like, if I had it my way, I would like put out an EP a year or like an LP a year. But yeah, it kind of worked out that way, and I was happy for it. And then since then, I've been putting out singles because I guess that's what makes sense now. But I'm definitely gearing towards another EP or LP.
Exciting. What's your favorite song off of the EP?
Probably maybe Home Home or Old Bones. Old Bones is kind of a fun, well, it's a really sad song actually, but it's fun in the sense that it was my band and I were a 6-piece, so the live sound is way different than the recorded stuff.
Right.
And we'd kind of been trying to figure out like, how are we gonna play this song, and we found like 8 months later we had kind of found a way to make it sound cool. It's pretty sparse sounding, but it gave like a breath of fresh air to a song that kind of had been dead for a bit. And so maybe that's probably my favorite one right now. And I think I might re-record it and like do like a reprised version.
Awesome.
We'll see though.
Yeah. What in terms of touring with 5 other people, you mentioned just having to figure out arrangements. Like, why did you decide to bring on a whole group of people to do the live stuff?
They're like my best friends. I've known them. So my brother's in the band.
Oh, really?
My brother's in the band, and I have my friend Nick who plays drums. I've been playing with him since like elementary school. My friend Jordan plays lap steel, and then the other 2 guys, Paul and Jeremy, I met in university. I don't know. Like, I just kind of wanted, like, when I go to shows, I love to see singer-songwriters play, but I like a big, like, expansive sound, and I wanted that for the live set, and they were all like, yeah, we'd love to play, so I'm happy to have them on board.
Yeah. What's it been like? You mentioned you bought a van. You've been sleeping, traveling, driving in said van. What's just been the biggest challenge of touring with other people?
We surprisingly get along really well, which I wasn't.
Good.
Yeah, that has to happen, I guess. I was really surprised. Like, we're all really good friends, but we're all different. We all have like different quirks and stuff, but it's been pretty good. I guess the toughest thing is finding arrangements, like sleeping arrangements. It's the accommodations. It's kind of, it can be, like, sometimes we'll do it like the night of. We'll be like, hey, can we sleep on someone's floor? And if that doesn't work out, then we'll like stay at a motel or something. So, like cramming 6 of us into a hotel room you get really good at sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
There's that, but I have friends in a lot of the cities that we stopped at, so, they were super, super nice to like take us in. Shout out Jack in Louisville and Jonah in Milwaukee.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like that's the the common struggle, and it's like you don't need anything fancy, just just a place.
Mm-hmm,
but
definitely.
That's awesome. I'm excited for you to sleep in your bed at home soon. I bet that will be really, really nice.
Can't wait.
Yeah. In terms of songwriting more, I want to pick your brain a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like personally, when I know I've found a good song if I can tell a story that applies to everybody or to many people, but I can narrow in on like a specific set of words or way to describe it that hasn't been done before. And I feel like you do that, like Sweet Company. Like it's this phrase, this beautiful phrasing. You're talking about familial themes that everybody experiences, but like you hone in on these words, Sweet Company. I'm wondering if that's true to you, and if so or if not, like what to you makes a good song? Like when do you know that you've written something that you're gonna like?
I think when it kind of evokes something that like some kind of feeling, like profoundly and into other people, and I'll show it to people around me, and if they kind of resonate with it, then I think that's like the beginning of a good song. I've no idea actually what makes a good song. I think, like what you said, that's pretty interesting. I never thought of it like that. That's a tough one. Definitely that's something that evokes like a deep emotion. It's with my stuff. There's a word called saudade in Portuguese, which is kind of like a melancholy feeling for like longing, sorrow. It's kind of something that like all Portuguese people have, and they relate to. And that word is like super tied into my music. So like sense of like wanting to be home, etc. So for this project, if it touches on that and gives me that feeling, then I think that's the beginning of something, at least.
Yeah. Have you felt, I mean, I think, this comes with being a musician, singing about real things. But is there anything that you've performed live that is more difficult to do so, or feels very vulnerable when you're like up on stage?
Yeah. I play Matador usually by myself. Definitely feels more vulnerable being there by yourself on stage. But I like doing that just because like when people come to the show and they've listened to the recorded stuff, that's kind of what they expect. Definitely that. Old Bones. The songs that they're all honest, like they're all about myself and about something, but I guess some of them are a bit more revealing. So playing those live and you're like looking at someone in the crowd and like singing that, it can be a bit scary.
Yeah. I'm curious, just on your leg of, just on your U.S. tour, have you had any like memorable experiences in a new city with people who come to see your music?
Yeah, definitely. In Chicago, we played at a place called Cole's Bar. It was like a smallish venue. And it was a Sunday, so it wasn't too busy. But the owner had opened up the floor, so there's like a bar in the front and the venue's in the back. And I think it was like $15 to get in. And then we went on last, and a couple songs into our set, he was just kind of like, okay, I'm just going to open it up and let people from the bar come in if they'd like to. And just like a bunch of people came in, and they like stood in the doorway and they were watching. And after like a guy came up to me, he's like I had no intention of like coming in, and I just heard it from the back. And I just came like running in, like I absolutely loved it so much, and he was super supportive. I ended up talking to him for like half hour. There was another woman, she was in the front, and we had played one of the songs, and she was like, that's it? And I thought it was like, oh crap, like she didn't like it, like really, that's it? But she's like, no, I wanted more. And then we like played, and she cried.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. I don't know if it was just because of the music, but she's like, your music made me cry. And I saw her crying in front. I was like, what the heck? I don't know if that was influenced by beer or whatever, but...
Probably the music, I'm sure, had a big part in it. That's awesome, though. I feel like it's really cool to have you, like, here in the U.S., and it's cool that you know people, but I'm sure a lot of this has been, like, making those connections and meeting new people and bringing your music to a new audience. So
definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome that it touches people in that way. I would love to listen to next your most recent song, People, Places, Changes. I love this one. There's like, is it maybe a lap steel or slide guitar kind of throughout it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Just like, slide guitar.
Okay, slide guitar, cool. Any thoughts about this one before we jump into it?
I like the production of it a lot. It's that was onto tape as well, and it kind of has like that warm, saturated, crackly sound. So I think this is production goals for me. Yeah, just another song kind of about things changing at home and being away. You don't want to miss things.
All right. People, Places, Changes. His. Enjoy.
The hand that you hold so tight, never let it go. Oh, it'll be a long night. Feeling it at uncertain times. Hand that you hold so tight. Still a part of my loneliest sin, being around more than I've been. The home that I grew up in. Do you feel the changes? Do you I'm not a smile that's broken still, frozen in time, and gives you chills. The face that you know so well. Do you feel changes? Do you feel changes? Do you feel changes? Do you feel changes? I'm not there.
And we're back. That was People, Places, Changes. Yes, love that little slide guitar at the end. I'm curious. I encourage people who are listening to check out your music after the fact, but you have some really cool cover art. And this one is a little bit different because there's some color, photos of your parents potentially on the cover art. There's
for
people.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's those are my grandparents.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. I am curious though. I like just like your body of music has a very comprehensive sound. You also have a very comprehensive image kind of surrounding everything. If you could talk a little bit about like the intentionality of your cover art and just your visuals, I would love to hear about that.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm so happy you asked about that. My partner, Kenzie Burke, she's an artist, visual artist, and she's done all the cover art for all my music. And you know, she's there, like, from when I start writing a song to, like, when it's finished. So she knows, not everything that's went into it, but she knows a lot that's went into it. And she knows what the song is about and kind of what it needs visually. So, yeah, we make a cool little team, I think. She does all my merch, too.
Oh, awesome.
Which is awesome. And, like, I don't want to say the merch is cooler than the music. It might be. But yeah, the visuals they're really good. And, you know, Sweet Company was about my grandmother. So she, like, kind of did this, like, abstract aerial view of the street that she grew up in Portugal. And I thought it was just, like, really beautiful. In hindsight, I wish I blew that picture up more because it's just, like, a small little square. But yeah, she's freaking awesome.
That's awesome. What a cool little duo. Like I mentioned Still Woozy, he and his partner Cooks are similar.
Yeah, exactly.
Designer, musician team. So very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's very simple, but I feel like it is a good conductor of the message. Like it makes a lot of sense.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. I'd love to see your merch. By the way, for everyone, I think I mentioned this earlier, but His is playing at the Orbit Room tonight, 8 p.m. Okay, so Bloomingtonians, that's where you should be tonight if you're 21 plus. Yes, I am curious though about, we kind of talked about it before the show started, but I would love, just because it's something that everyone would recognize, I would love to hear a little bit more about your South by experience. And then also New Colossus as well, because that was the first time I've ever heard of that. But go ahead. What was that like?
South by was like, it was crazy. It was like really overwhelming. It's like they shut down like the whole downtown pretty much and have music going everywhere all the time. It's one of those things that, like, we can go back home and say that we played South by, and everyone's gonna be like, whoa, like, you played South by, like, that's so cool. Like, it's an industry thing. I would definitely go back, but I definitely learned a lot. This first time, like, you have to be, you know, like, I didn't have business cards when we went. So I ended up, like, rushing halfway through the festival and, like, making business cards so I could pass out to people. So I was a bit ill-prepared in that regard, but I met a lot of cool people, like cool industry people. But when you're there, I guess, like, play as many shows as you can. You know, you're gonna have your official showcase, which is fine, but a lot of the time the coolest shows are, like, unofficial ones during the day. A lot of labels put on showcases, booking agents, management groups. So it's all about, like, hitting them up in the lead up to South by to play as many shows as you can and meet people.
Because you played like 5 or 6 in that time span?
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, we did, which was good. It was definitely busy, but it was a lot of fun. I would definitely like to go back next year or the year after or something.
Did you get to see anybody perform that you like?
I did. Honestly, there's maybe one of the coolest. So there's a venue, it's called Hotel Vegas. I don't know if you've been to Austin before.
Have not.
it's cool. It's like you go through the back, and there's 2 separate indoor venues, like in the front in the building.
Uh-huh.
And in the back, there's this huge tent in the back with like kind of like a sand pit. The OCs played there, which was really cool. But I saw this band. I went with my manager, and he was like, "Oh, you have to see these guys. Like, I've been listening to them. They look really cool. They're called Voca Gentle.
Ooh.
They're from the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And they were on last. It was like 1 a.m. They put on maybe like one of the best sets I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
They were absolutely incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really great. And then for New Colossus, there's a band called Yo Diablo. They're from Spain.
Okay.
Really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
They played Arlene's Grocery in Lower East. It was, I don't know, the singer, he was just like a bona fide like rock star. He was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he just had the it factor, and they were unbelievable live, just a 2-piece.
Really?
It was super cool.
Whoa. Yeah, that's crazy. It seems like the event maybe takes over the city a little bit. Like that's such a cool experience. Yeah, awesome. What do you think, like, you've talked about figuring out the live arrangements and also business cards, but like what do you think your biggest takeaway overall from this tour is going to have been?
Just to appreciate the little things more, like the little victories and stuff. Because like South by and New Colossus were cool, really met like a lot of awesome people, but I think something that I hadn't been like, not looking forward to, but putting as much attention towards is like going from town to town and playing smaller venues and meeting other bands and meeting people in the crowd. Like we played in Louisville, and it was like this listening room. It's a place called the Monarch. It's like a non-profit. It's like a creative hub. It was beautiful. And it was like a small audience, maybe like 30, 40 people. But like after the set, you can go and chat with people and, you know, talk about their music, talk about your music, make that connection. You know, I feel like it's a lot easier to make fans that way, as opposed to, you know, if we go to Toronto and we'll play like a sold out show somewhere. I can't talk to people after the show. It's just, there's a lot going on, you know. So definitely those things, meeting people in smaller sets and making fans, making friends is definitely the best part, I think.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. I feel like, you know, I'm not you, but if I were in Toronto, it would feel easy to stick there and be with my friends and family and experience the love there. But so it's really cool that you've expanded your reach and are seeing all the other cool people around. But yeah, so congrats on your tour, by the way.
Thank you.
And finishing it up. I know I've said that, but very exciting. I would love to play In the Wind next. Any thoughts about this one? I think the lyrics are super cool, and I would love to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of about losing some papers and spiraling, and then thinking about bigger things. It's maybe is my favorite song that I've put out.
Cool.
Maybe like vibe-wise.
Yeah.
Kind of like the cassette thingy and the little noodly guitar part. It's a fun one to play live too.
Okay. Awesome. Everyone, In the Wind, his. Enjoy.
All your books and papers are gone out through the window. A wind too strong came and took them, didn't you know? Hands tied, praying to God that there'll be here tomorrow. 'cause hours spent praying in church must mean something. Is it maybe too soon for her to say, just move on? Well, I find it hard to believe that these things are gone now. Hence I pray to God that we'll be here tomorrow. But hours spent praying in church don't mean a thing. Lay it all on me. 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 Just something. Lay it all on me. Just something. Lay it all on me. Just
All right, In the Wind. I'm always surprised by how quickly the end of the song comes. But very fun. Yeah, definitely love the little guitar riff. You mentioned your management, and I would just love to touch on that really quick, because you're signed to Victory Pool, which is a Toronto-based label.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, they have, like, I guess, two wings. They have, like, the management wing and then the label side. I'm working with the management side right now.
Got it.
And, yeah, I work with Brian. He's awesome.
Shout out.
Shout out, Brian. Super nice guy. I hit him up. I sent him, like, an email maybe, like, after I wrote Matador. I was like, hey, I'm from Toronto. I'm doing this. Just want to share this with you. Like, they have a lot of cool artists, and now they have some Juno nominated artists, which are like the Canadian equivalent of the Grammy, I guess, or the American Music Award rather. And like a year and a bit later, he just kind of messaged me out of the blue. He's like, hey, how's it going? Like, I just been listening to your music, seeing what you're doing. You want to get a coffee sometime? And then we just hung out, and he's was kind of helping me organize things, organize shows, and then he came to our show, a show at the Monarch in Toronto, and he loved it, and he's like, yeah, do you want to make this official, and start working together, and yeah, he's been awesome.
Exciting.
Yeah, great people, really happy to work with them.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was checking out the website. Very cool lineup of people. Cool. Yeah. Just in terms of moving forward, like, what's next for his?
I'm in the studio right now.
Ooh.
I'm gonna finish up when I get back. Working on an EP, I think. Maybe an LP. We'll see. Not sure when that's gonna come out. Gonna sit on it for a bit. I'm working on that right now. Shows in Toronto. We have a year-long, like, work visa in the U.S., so I think we're gonna try to come back in the fall or winter before that's over. Yeah, just play as many shows. I have a new single coming out in May.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, that's it pretty much.
Cool. Have you been able to write while you're on the road, or is that, like, not really on your mind?
I wrote one guitar riff, little chord thing that I like. I'm going to expand on that when I get home. But it's, we're, in our downtime, we're sleeping pretty much. And I struggle, like, writing in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. Just maybe get, like, self-conscious or something, but I like to be, like, locked in a room by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, even if, like, my partner or, like, my mom is, like, upstairs, like, and they come down, I'll, like, stop playing. I don't want them to listen,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I haven't really written too much, but I really am excited to when I get back.
Mm-hmm. Is there any thoughts about bringing in the members that you're touring with into kind of the making of the songs, or do you still feel like as a solo project, like that's where his lies?
Definitely, like, yeah, definitely gonna keep it for myself for the recorded stuff. We're reworking Old Bones, and I, like, for the live set, I present them the song, and I have parts, but then I let them iterate on that and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
do their own thing. And Old Bones, I kind of let everyone do their own thing, and it just sounded beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my brother's doing these cool, like, bass harmonics. My friend Paul, who's not really a keyboard player, but he just learned for this project, did that. My friend Jordan, who played lap steel, who just recently learned how to nice little, like, airy part. So I want to record that and then do that and have that, like, the reprised version as something that we did together.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely, I think I'll keep writing for myself and have the live set for the guys.
Cool. Yeah. Yes, unfortunately, we're nearing the end of our time. I want to end on Field Theme Part 2, which is also the conclusion of your EP. And I really love this song, so I'm very excited to end with it. But before we close out, anything, just thank you for being on the show. This has been great.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Glad to be your first radio appearance.
Yeah.
Everyone listening, his will be playing at the Orbit Room 8 p.m. tonight with Damien, a local group, which is exciting. We can find all your recorded music on all platforms.
Yeah, all platforms. His.music is my Instagram, and
Mm-hmm.
Linktree, his music.
Mm-hmm. Any final things to shout out before we end with Field Theme?
No, just thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm.
This has been really nice, relaxing environment. I appreciate it.
Good. I don't know if it's the early morning or what it is, but yeah, this has been a nice thing to, like, wake myself up to. Good conversation. Awesome. Yes. Thanks, Aidan, for coming on. Everyone, this has been Growing Pains. My name is Natalie. I'm here usually every Friday at 3, and I will be back this Friday at 3, almost certainly, with another guest. But super glad to do this special edition with Aidan. So to close this out, I'll be playing Field Theme Part 2, his. Thank you for listening. Enjoy.